If you know your why, the deeper meaning behind your desire to write, you probably have a message to share. Stories are one of the most powerful ways to deliver it. They don't just entertain us, they deepen our understanding of the human condition. In this episode, we'll look at how you can stir that kind of impact through characters and scenes in a novel. You know that feeling when you're folding laundry after you finish reading and you can't let go of the story? Maybe a character's choice keeps replaying, or certain scenes echo. Somehow that book sparked new insights into yourself, someone you love, or the world you live in. Stories allow readers to encounter people, places, and ideas they might never meet otherwise. Sometimes those encounters are uplifting or affirming, and sometimes they're downright uncomfortable. But in difficult moments, curiosity usually has more room to work in a book than it does in a face-to-face conversation. Why? Because no one is staring back at you. No one is arguing their point. Readers aren't being cornered or corrected, so defenses don't rise like they sometimes do in conversation. Instead, readers watch, listen, feel, and they draw their own conclusions based on their own situations and at their own pace. That's where the power of story lives. A story invites readers into an experience, into someone else's life or emotional reality, and it gives them the space to sit with what they discover. Even if they aren't sure what they believe by the end, something will have shifted. A question has been planted, a possibility opened. And that matters. A good scene gets under your skin. You feel the emotional impact ripple throughout your body. And then your mind starts asking questions. Stories help shape what people believe. So as writers, that's a big responsibility. We can use stories to deepen empathy or harden it. We can inspire a positive outlook or convince readers the world is bleak. Writers can encourage readers to think more freely, or they can try to manage what readers think. Stories with impact don't state meaning on the page. They build scenes and let readers interpret them. This isn't just a stylistic preference. It's how we handle meaning with care and readers with respect. With that idea in mind, here are 3 ways to use characters and scenes to create impact with your work. Number 1, present a choice and a cost. Share your message through a character's decision, not the narrator's explanation. Your story shouldn't pause to tell readers what it means. Instead, shape moments where your character cannot avoid revealing who they are through their decisions and what those decisions cost. With this approach, meaning emerges from what they're willing to sacrifice or what they refuse to risk, and what happens afterward. If your theme is forgiveness, you could write, "She believed in forgiveness." Or you could write, "She stops outside the hospital room, heat hammering in her chest. He doesn't deserve her time or attention, but she steps inside anyway." In the context of the story, the message of forgiveness is clearly delivered through the choice she has to make. On the surface, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins is a high-stakes survival story. It's about a girl forced into a deadly competition. But the message doesn't come from the narrator condemning injustice. It comes through Katniss's choices, especially when she risks her own safety to protect someone else. When you use action and consequence to share your message, meaning feels earned, not explained. So when you're checking your scenes, ask, what would this idea look like if I couldn't say it out loud? And then build a scene that forces a choice. Number 2, let emotion carry the meaning. Emotion can open the door to understandings that explanations just can't match. Readers absorb meaning through their emotional responses to experience, just like they do in real life. So build scenes with clear emotional cues: desire, fear, shame, relief, delight, dread. When the reader feels first, meaning arrives as something that seems familiar, something they can relate to, not instruction. This is not about telling readers what the character is feeling. It's about showing emotion clearly through character actions and mannerisms. A clenched jaw, a pause before answering, slamming doors, crumpling to the floor, dancing with arms open wide. These details let readers feel what's at stake. On the surface, A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman is about a grumpy man who insists on keeping the world orderly. But the meaning comes through the emotional cues in the scenes. his routines, his irritations, his small acts of care, and the slowly revealed grief underneath his anger. This book doesn't need to say grief is hard and you can't go it alone. It lets the reader feel the depth of grief through Ove's behavior until the community around him makes compassion and connection inevitable. Ask yourself, what would the reader feel in this moment, and how can I put that feeling on the page? Then sharpen the scene until the emotion carries the meaning. Number 3, trust your reader with interpretive space. Explanations manage readers. Leaving room for them to think about it respects their intelligence. They're more likely to stay engaged because they're actively participating in the story through the lens of their own experience. If you explore justice, you don't need to spell out who was right. Let your protagonist make the right choice and still lose something important. Or create an imperfect outcome where justice isn't fully served. Some readers will feel comforted by the attempt. Others will feel troubled by the cost, and still others will question whether justice was even possible. That kind of tension is not a weakness. It's the space where the story sits with readers and keeps them thinking about it long after they reach the end. Each reader's worldview is shaped by life experience, which means different readers will notice different nuances and respond in different ways. Even age can shift interpretation. For example, take Life of Pi by Jan Martel. To a middle grade reader, it can feel like a gripping survival adventure. Faith and imagination help Pi endure an unbelievable ordeal with a real tiger. To an adult reader, it can become a story about surviving trauma by turning it into something the mind can live with. The adventure works as an allegory, how a person builds meaning and routine when the world stops making sense. When you're looking at your scenes, ask yourself, what could I leave unsaid so the reader can finish the meaning for themselves? Then trade your conclusion for a pivotal moment. If you want your story to spark change, avoid explanation. Trust what stories do best. Invite readers into an experience. Carry your message through character choices and deliver meaning through displayed emotion. This gives readers room for interpretation, so the story resonates like a personal experience. It's not unusual for first drafts to feel a little preachy, and that's okay. It just means you care and you're trying to make sure your ideas are coming across. Write the sermon first, and then translate it into a choice someone has to make. When you review your scenes, ask yourself, where is the choice and cost? Where is the emotion? Where is the space for readers to interpret the scene? Take this approach and readers won't feel as though you're delivering a message. They'll feel as though they're discovering something meaningful. And that's how fiction makes an impact. For more reflections on craft, storytelling, and writing with purpose, you can find me on Substack. The link is in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing some of your precious time with me today. If you found something helpful here, please share in the comments. See you next time.